Now we're ready to subdivide the mesh. And along the way, we're going to learn a little bit about the modeling ribbon and some of the things I need you to look out for in terms of quirks of the interface. I'll select the model and let's open up the modeling ribbon. And that's on the main toolbar. Toggle ribbon, turn that on. And if I just turn the ribbon on, I will see displayed over here the currently active modifier. If I go over here and select Editable Poly, we'll see Editable Poly, the object type at the bottom of the stack. And if I choose Symmetry, I will see Symmetry over here. And I can also move up and down using these buttons. It's super important that you're at the correct level of the modifier stack when you invoke a subobject mode such as point or polygon. Because if you're at the top of the stack like I am now, and you just go ahead and enter one of these subobject modes, you won't actually be editing the editable poly object. 3ds Max will drop a modifier on top of the stack, and that modifier is called Edit Poly, and that's going to be a real problem. So let me just demonstrate the issue for you. Let's say I want to now edit the polygons. I'll go into Polygon subobject mode. Now suddenly I have all my tools, and that looks great, but I see Edit Poly over here, and that's a real problem. We'll see it over here too. At this point, when I click on something, I'm not seeing any mirroring happening. And that's because I'm operating at the top level of the stack after the symmetry is applied. So having just innocently gone into subobject mode over here, now I've completely lost my way, and I'm not able to edit symmetrically any longer. So to avoid this issue, what you want to do is always make sure you're at the bottom of the stack when you invoke one of those subobject modes. I'm going to get rid of that extraneous Edit Poly modifier just by clicking the trash can. So again, just make sure you're at the bottom level of the stack with Editable Poly selected and or visible here. And then it's okay for you to go into a subobject mode like Face. If you want to see the end result, of course, you'll need to enable that. We can do it here. Show end result. So now we're back at a good place where we can actually edit, and we can use any of these tools. The next thing we need to decide is how we want to apply the subdivision surface algorithm. And we could do it actually directly within Editable Poly if we wished. Let me go out of subobject mode, and right here in the Edit panel, you'll see a button labeled NURMS. That's Non-Uniform Rational Mesh Smooth. If you enable that, you'll get some smoothing. And you've got iterations here. We could turn that up. And that looks similar to what we saw in the first movie, except if you look really closely, especially right at the seam, things look a bit strange. We can see that in the top view as well. There's a kind of peak or crease here. That's happening because we're smoothing the object before it gets mirrored or symmetrized. The smoothing is happening here at the bottom level of the stack. I don't recommend doing it this way. The Open Subdiv modifier is much faster, and we can place it anywhere in the stack, and we're not stuck with this situation. And I can exaggerate the issue here and make it even more obvious what the problem is. If I go into Vertex or Point subobject mode, select a point here, and that's going to be the nose of the character, and bring that forward a bit in that top view, and we can see there's an extreme crease or sort of peak there. And that's not a very natural look. And that's not really going to serve us well. We won't be able to properly shape the seam of the character using this method. So we're going to turn that off. I'll go out of subobject mode, turn off the NURMS algorithm, and then go up to the top level of the stack and add the Open Subdiv modifier. Click on the modifier list and choose Open Subdiv. Increase the number of iterations to 2. And now you can see that we don't have that weird peak. Everything is nice and rounded. And that's happening because we're making our edits at the bottom of the stack, and then that edit is being symmetrized, and finally after the symmetry, it's being smoothed. And so we're smoothing across the seam, and we have a much better, more aesthetic result. I can go back down to Editable Poly and go into Vertex or any other subobject mode and start working on my character model. So I can go over to the top view and click there. I'll move that point around. You can see we're getting a nice smooth result there.